Alrighty, this is what arrived in the mail. Now, I'd had some correspondence from these guys in China. He was calling himself Dave, probably not his real name, but it doesn't matter. Nice enough guy. He basically arranged to get this sent to me. So, I wondered about the name, because this didn't appear in any of his correspondence. But when this box turned up, here it is. You know, Casubaris. Casubaris. Sounds Greek. What could it be? Well, if you actually Google the thing, AliExpress. Yeah, Chinese, of course. Guys are Chinese. That's all right. Okay. And you can see basically all the different kinds of cordless compressors and airbrushes they've got. And they've all sort of, a lot of these have got what is special about this one, which is it has a hose. And a lot of you have been asking about that. It's not a thing I was very excited about because for me it seemed to defeat the whole purpose. But there you go. So there's various versions. I think I ended up with this one, sort of something. Doesn't quite look like that. See, what ended up is mine actually came from Amazon. It's a bit of a funny long story. So if you search that brand name on Amazon, a lot of them come up. But not the one he wanted me to buy. Very strange. So the one he wanted me to buy looked like that. So he sent me this picture, said search on Amazon USA, find that, and that's the one that they're going to send me. So would you like to know more about that? Great! Roll the music. Nice box, nice and firm. Top opening. I mean, it's, it feels like a quality product. And you get this nice little picture. You can have it in blue, you can have it in black, and you have it in red. Well, they sent me a red one. Would have liked a blue one. That would have been nice. You can get these cups for them as well. Well, mine didn't really come with that. Not that I'm worried, but obviously there's a version you can get that have got bigger cups. The airbrush that comes with it, well, it's quite nice. It's like the one that was in the pictures. It's all metal, which is good. And you've got various trims, and, it looks like it'll do the job. We'll give it a try. Interesting thing is, standard fitting here, okay? So we'll talk about more of that later. Yep, came all the way from Amazon USA, cost $79.99 US. So that's what it cost. So in Australia, that ended up with postage at about 110, 120 Australian dollars. So, 11 or 12 shekels. Okay, what do you get? Well, you get the compressor, and the compressor comes with a spare battery, and everything's wrapped up nicely packaged. It's very much like that No Name brand. The review I did for that, put a link up here. Okay, I reviewed the No Name one, which is that one, and I've been very impressed with that. I've been using it for 18 months. I love it. So we have that, and it even has an indicator on the side to show you how charged it is. So that looks useful. Looks very useful. Okay, we'll have a look at more of that in a sec. Compressor has a big blurb on the side of it. Please do read before use. Yeah. Connect airbrush like the way below. Yep, well, we got a little bit of lost in translation stuff. But the usual thing, they basically tell you not to get it wet. And that's the thing. And also they say don't leave it running. Now this is interesting. And I did do a bit of reading the instructions. This one from No Name is automatic. It's literally always on, but it's not running. Only when you push down, that activates the compressor. When you let go, compressor switches off, which I rather liked. And you could set it at high speed and low speed. So theoretically, they reckon that's about 20 or 30 psi. In reality, it's more like about 15 and maybe 25 psi. But that's okay. That's worked fine for everything I needed that airbrush to do. So that worked fine. Now you get one like this, which was the one I got from Neat and Handy, and I've got my Eclipse on it. Both of these two, I've got my Iwata airbrushes on there. Didn't use the standard ones. But for this one, nothing really happens. You've got to switch it on, and then, and you've got to remember to switch it off. Because the one I had before this, which was similar, I didn't buy it from Neat and Handy, I actually did a trial to see how long the battery would last and how long it would blow for. So I left it blowing on my bench. I left the power on. And you don't want to do that because I overheated the thing, burnt out the batteries, and that first cordless that I had, totally useless because they're just about impossible to repack. Somebody might now be repacking them, but a couple of years ago when I got that one, no, that proved a problem. This one, it's got the best of both worlds. You can switch it off. It's off now. Switch it on. It's got a real zip to it. I mean, I think they fully charged it before they sent it to me. I haven't put a charger in this yet. It's exactly as it came from Amazon. So it's already charged up, ready to go. I think those other two, these guys haven't been charged in a little while, not since I moved, so it's been a couple of months. They're on residual charge. So that's all very interesting. Now, also in the box, well, obviously you get your charging lead, which is just a USB lead that's going to fit in the bottom here. There's no switches for high or low speed that I can find. Oh, and your battery just comes out that easy. There you go. Your battery just falls out. So did they charge that one as well? Yep, that's a real resounding thing. Now, how do we tell if it's charged? Well, I don't know. There's nothing on there. We'll find out. Maybe when you plug it into the power, those things light up. We'll look at that in a sec. You get a nice little cleaning tool and eyedropper. That's good. And you get a little spanner here, which is for removing basically the tip, so you can get your needle. Clean all that out, which is good. Now, this is what makes it different to every cordless I've had to now, because this will be my 4th cordless sort of setup. The compressor's cordless. Yeah, sure, it's got a battery and you can run around with it. You don't have to have it plugged into the wall. That's good. But your airbrush, instead of being on the compressor, you know, as these are, so basically you just cut the whole thing to where you want to be, you're away, you're airbrushing, right? No, yeah, you've got a hose. Now, a lot of people had commented when I did the reviews on the other one, and they'd said, look, you know, well, what can we fit a hose to it? I thought, well, what's the point? I mean, the whole idea is, here it is, you hold it, there it is, you haven't got the cumbersome hose in the way, away you go. This weighs bugger all, believe me. I found these cordless compressors are no more weight than really the hose. If you're running a fully corded compressor on the floor and the hose that's with it, because remember that hose is energized, full of air, the whole thing's got some springiness and resistance. Honestly, this is just as light for me to use. So I've never found the cordless compressor cumbersome or in the way. Either of these two. They've both been fine. So, you know, even this one, because I can rotate that to the position I want, I can push the on and off button. So I'm airbrushing and bang, my thumb's there, turn it on and off. Not a problem. Very easy to use. Very simple. No mucking around. You know, you can do it any time of night. These are all the advantages of these things. They travel with them anywhere. As long as your batteries are charged up, you don't need power. Away you go. You're not making much noise. Very easy to use. Okay, so those are the bits. Now, as I say, the photo of the one they sent me came with all this extra stuff. Well, I didn't get that. Maybe I ended up buying the wrong one. Who knows? Well, you know, getting the wrong one. It's complicated. Now, okay, so let's have a quick look. It's got a 0.3 nozzle. All right, spray on the airbrush they supply. Airflow 7 to 9 L/min, whatever that means. Working pressure 10 to 20 psi. All right, whereas they were trying to tell me it was 32. Charging time 40 to 60 minutes, so it could take up to an hour to charge. Working time 40 to 50 minutes, run for about an hour. Quite frankly, if you're doing a really big job that requires over an hour's worth of continuous airbrushing, yeah, use a floor compressor, really, because these guys don't like running for that long anyway. I reckon I use these cordless for doing small jobs that can take 15 to 20 minutes, right? Or jobs where I spray for 5 minutes, do something else, you know, maybe change paints, clean out the airbrush, spray again, you know. They're brilliant for small jobs and small painting. When I need to Steinerese an entire model, that's a primer, polyurethane primer, I do use my floor compressor and I use my 0.5 needle Iwata airbrush, the Revolution. And that's because it's, you know, boom, I've got the power consistency. I have been able to use Steinerese through my other cordless, so you can do it, but they don't like to be run for too long because, you know, it's only a little compressor. It's doing a lot of work. So there is that. But for just, you know, painting things, like if you're doing miniatures and lots of small stuff, fine, you could prime something little, not a problem. If you're doing 1/72nd scale, shouldn't be an issue. In aircraft, maybe not ships, but ships in 1/72 are huge. Right, but anyhow. All right, so let's just see how it all fits together. I mean, I don't know. I sort of read through this. It's all pretty obvious. This clicks to that and that clicks to that. I don't know, you know. Buy one yourself. You can read all that. There's nothing really revolutionary there. It's just the usual stuff. This screws into here. That screws into there, you know. Don't eat the airbrush. Okay, so what is more interesting for me, and I hope for you, is this hose. Okay, because we can connect... Oh, there's a little cap thing that fell off before. Comes with a little cap. You can connect this airbrush to here, and it's a great little attachment thing. You just simply, with a lot of sort of these, you have to spin around, right? Which is a real pain. But this one you don't. You can literally hold this exactly where you want. If you want the button at the back, okay? And then you simply anti-clockwise rotate that little doodad until it is nice and firm. Now, let's turn it on. Oh, it only makes one little sound. It pressurizes up and then it's got a little valve and it holds. So it's not blowing air and running, but it is powered up. And it's only when you hit here. Okay, so you get best of both worlds. You do have a way to make sure the thing is off. So if you bump your airbrush, nothing's going to happen, no air is going to come out, okay? And that may also mean that it's not sitting there slowly losing air and turning itself on and off while you're sort of not looking, I imagine, okay? So there you go. And changing the batteries is as easy as click, out we go, goes spare battery. So you could do quite a long session because of each of these batteries is going to do, you know, nearly up to an hour, well, 2 hours. But I wouldn't recommend running this thing for 2 hours continuously. Honestly, they get hot. They get hot. So again, it's dead, makes a little squirty sound, and then on she goes. And turning clockwise now, their airbrush comes off. Now, a number of you asked me, oh, it's a bit loose there. That's just how it came from the factory. A number of you asked me, can you connect other airbrushes? Well, here's the one that came in the kit with no name. All right, so does that fit? Yes, it does. That's going to thread on. Don't need to go the whole way. So that'll thread on straight away with its, as long as it's got its valve on there. Now here is my Revolution that I use with my floor compressor for doing my stylorays, right? And it's got a little quick release on it. So is that going to fit on there? Yes, it does. No problems at all. So that's 0.5 needle. There we go. Okay, so they screw on quite well. Oh yes, that's certainly blowing some air out. Probably could prime with that, and you've got your 2 batteries. But again, I worry about overheating, right? Because they do overheat. But still, don't know. I'll have to do some bench tests. So I'll have to do a 6-month test and let you know how it is. You can't find out everything straight away. It took me 6 months and then a year to figure out all the foibles with the other ones. Go back and watch those videos, okay? Now, the best part about this is supposedly the hose. And so you've got 2 female ends and you have a male end, sort of, right? And as everyone knows, males go into females. Yeah, that's going. That's blowing air at the end there. So, okay. Then we attach something. So we'll stick with their airbrush for now. And the airbrush doesn't say anything like that. One that came with no name, it had this startairbrush.com, which doesn't go anywhere because startairbrush.com at the time didn't exist. So put that on there. Look at that. Just like a normal airbrush. Presses out the way. Okay. Everything's there and nothing's happening. That's made a little disgusting sound. Obviously been having one of my curries. Oh, that's interesting. That thread's snapping. Well, that's a bit dicey. That's why that came loose. The thread breaks. The thread's actually buggered in there. So when we're using it, that thing's making a horrible noise. I'll just stand it up and see if the noise is any different. So it's going to make a noise, all right? But that's just, well, we'll take it over here where it's not going to bother me. Same as you expect. Same as you expect from a floor compressor. So you can put this thing on the floor, let it vibrate around and make a lot of noise. So that works, okay? How the pressure is, I don't know. We'll do some tests in a sec. Now, you could do something else, which is what a lot of people are worried about, is that you really have no gauge on this to set different pressures, okay? There are ways around that. I've pretty well got around that using these guys because I found really you can get a lot of control with basically how you're using your finger on the trigger, right? But that sort of takes quite a bit of practice, and it's not for the beginner. The beginner's just going to go, slam! No, I've got air, I've got full pressure, full speed ahead. And that's what they'll do. It takes a while until you've got a bit of finesse and you can gently sort of feather your trigger. Now, these are quick releases. And included in these quick releases, on this one at least, is a trim. It's a little trim valve. So that, because it's just like an airbrush hose, all it is, it's an airbrush hose, right? That'll go on there. You need to put your quick release on your airbrush fitting, right? So you buy these. They're not much. They're like about 1 or 2 shekels. They're not much. You pick them up. Any airbrush store will have them. They're just standard quick release fittings, okay? And you get usually the male and the female part. Things have male and female parts. It's just how it is. Okay, so that'll now click in there. Okay, so on. Oh, huge problem. Buggers the auto system. Okay, did you hear me? Yes, you can put a quick release on there, but then your auto system isn't working because the way this thing detects the pressure and detects what's going on. Interesting. So what if I put on my revolution? Does it make any difference? So there's quick release on revolution. On we go. Compressor on. So if you were to use a quick release system, this guy's going the whole time, which could be good or bad. It doesn't matter. Depends what you sort of feel about that. But it's like a normal compressor. It's going, you know, when it needs to build up air. Like if your compressor doesn't have an expansion tank, mine does, then the compressor is always on, always on, always on. My floor compressor does have the expansion tank, so that compresses air into the expansion tank, and then you can use your compressor and it only kicks in every now and then when it needs to up the pressure in the expansion tank. And they're the good ones. They're the ones to use. Now, just a little point of warning, because this just happened to me. There's a little grommet in there. Can you see it? Little rubber ring. Now, that actually popped out in all my assembling and unassembling and everything, so I hope it hasn't wrecked my tests. That little fella popped out. So you've got to watch out for that, because that's obviously instrumental in this whole thing working, so that these airbrushes sit in there firmly and you get a proper seal. Okay, so it's working now. But you really don't want to be unscrewing and screwing and unscrewing and screwing all the time. So you probably need to work out what airbrush you want to use and stay with it if you've got it fixed to this. Or if you've got the hose on there, again, just only change the end of the hose where your airbrush is going to be, because you don't want that little thing to pop out and lose it, because that's pretty well important. Otherwise, I think you're going to lose a lot of pressure. Okay, let's get on with the test of the airbrush. Now those battery indicator, they started lighting up once I was in the spray booth. So I don't know why they did that. I imagine they'd go on once you plug in the power. Now, you're going to need a little stand to put this on, as per normal. And I'm going to use exactly the same as all of my other tests, a little bit of Taka, sort of jet black here. So if you've watched the other videos, this will be consistent. So there we go. This is the airbrush supplied in the kit. And yeah, you can get a spread out of it. It's about as good as any of the other standard airbrushes. So we'll now go for some fine lines, see how it goes. That's not too bad for sort of a medium line there with a bit of blue. Now, you've got a bit of control. It's not too bad. I mean, remember, we can't adjust the pressure. That's the thing. We're stuck with whatever the pressure is out of here. So it's all in feathering with your finger. But let's see if I can do my signature. That's possible. So you have got some reasonable control. It's not a bad airbrush. I mean, it'll do the job. Let's now remove the hose and see if there's any difference when we put the airbrush straight to this cordless compressor. Will it be more powerful? Will we have less control for fine lines? Don't know. Let's see how we go. All right, so first off, let's do something big. Let's just try a bit of a blend, a bit of a spread. Yep, not too bad. I haven't got the hood back on, but you can see. Medium-sized lines, yeah, it's sort of about the same. Fine lines, dots, everything looks pretty well the same. So, yep, there we go. So it doesn't seem to be much difference whether you have the hose on or you're basically using this airbrush straight on top of the cordless compressor. It works. It's fine. Let's now try the Eclipse and see what the difference is. And I've put on the little trim, okay, the little snap connect with the trim to see if we can adjust pressure. See how that works. And that might give you the ability to go down to a much lower pressure. Again, I haven't thinned. It's the same jet black paint from Taka that I did in all the other tests, so everything's consistent. No, it's really not working. I mean, my Eclipse is usually very, very good. It's just not coming out right. So I keep increasing the pressure, winding that trim out to try and get the thing working. It's just not happening. their inbuilt automatic pressure system just fights with the trim control. And in the end, I found you really had to wind that trim all the way out, and then at least it started to have a semblance of working. So, yep, that has failed. So let's get rid of that. That's just not working at all. Let's put my Eclipse in now without that, and just make sure we haven't got a problem with the Eclipse. So we'll just do that as basically a grounding test. So Eclipse only, straight on the hose. Let's see what we've got. Oh yes, much better. Now the Eclipse is working as my Eclipse should. So hood off. Let's see how we go for some sort of little fine lines. Yeah. Eclipse will always be a better result than the cheaper sort of Chinese airbrush that's supplied. I mean, it is a better quality airbrush. So a good airbrush on this system can get you really nice results. See, look at that. See how much control I've got. It looks terrific. Okay, so conclusion. This hose thing is a good idea. Actually, I think it is. I am converted. I thought it was more of a gimmick, thought it'd stuff things up. It does have some issues, it does create some problems, but actually it gives you back your flexibility that you have normally. One of those mainly is height, because when you bring in something like this, it's got all this, your model has to be up high for you to get at it. You can't get in as close. Whereas when you've only got a hose, it's just like normal. You can get in really low. So you can't do that with this. I can't get down low. I mean, do that and all the paint will fall out. So for anybody who's transitioning, this is an easy setup because you've got the hose. That's what you're used to. All your angles are going to be the same. The only advantage you've got is this thing is reasonably quiet. Well, it's a bit noisy than these other ones. And you can pop it sort of just out of the way somewhere where it won't bother you. That light up thing there, that got very bright in the spray booth when I had the power on. So that's interesting. Still saying 100%. I mean, I've been going now for probably about half an hour on and off, but probably only 10, 15 minutes, if that, of spray time. Now, fitting an aftermarket brush to it, yes, my clips went on perfectly, no problem there. That worked really well. Very happy with that. So the clips work well, but don't use an adapter. It buggers up the whole mechanism they've got with the automatic, and also then you just don't seem to get the pressure. It just didn't seem to have the gun. The standard airbrush that they supply, look, it's okay. It's not a bad sort of one for your first airbrush, so that you get used to it. Certainly better than some of the other rubbish out there that's sort of all plastic, because this one is fairly metal, and I hadn't really sort of dialed it in with the controls. I mean, I'm used to my Eclipse and I've got it set up just the way I want, so it's a bit unfair in that way. Maybe with time, if I kept using this airbrush and I got the adjustments just right and got used to sort of how it feels, maybe I could get a better result. But there's really no substitute for a good quality, well-machined, well-maintained, and just a good airbrush that's really designed to do its job, and that's what you're paying the money for. So yeah, this good starter airbrush, that's about it. That's about it. That's all I can say. So you're okay with that, by all means, and it mates perfectly well with this thing. All right, so you're away. But yeah, hose is a good idea with this one. Works really well. And having your two batteries, even if you are sort of using a lot of pressure and going through the air, well, you're going to be able to sort of go click, click, put your second battery in seconds. So that is good. So if it was my money, would I buy one? Well, in hindsight, and I can only do that because I've had to have the experience, okay? So my first cordless burnt out and wasn't much good and had a crappy bloody airbrush with it. That was, rubbish. It was only 5 shekels. I then paid double that for this one, the No Name, okay? So what it's called, No Name. And it was much better, and I was able to fit my Neo to it, all right, with a little bit of modification. But I had to do some confangling to get that on there and make it work. So that was sort of a bit annoying, but I could make it happen. All right, couldn't get something on that already had, you couldn't unscrew the valve from. That was the thing. So like my Revolution on that one, couldn't do it. So that was the thing. I then moved to this one, which is from Neat and Handy, because I could get an adapter with it, and that meant something with a fixed valve, right? That valve does not unscrew. That would work, fit on, away we go, that works well. So that's proved very good for my Revolution, and normally I have my clips in there. So this one with the Eclipse, I have lots of control, the pressure's good. This one also has an unscrew removal battery, so that was good. I like the idea, second battery. I've really only used it when I haven't got around to charging this battery, come to use the thing, go, oh, that battery's gone flat, quickly flip the other one off, put this one on charge. I have never ever got to a point where my batteries have gone flat while airbrushing. Maybe I don't do great big long sessions. Well, I don't. I paint some things, you know. I probably only spend 15 minutes, half an hour tops for an airbrush session. And then I put things on charge if I remember. So, yeah, now it comes with a few little tools and things. There's various versions you can get. Mine only came with the spanner, the brush, the thing. But there are some that come with this. And I would highly recommend one of these. What is it? Yeah, it's not a suicide tool, no. This is for cleaning out your tip, right? When you get tip jam because of, you know, acrylics are all jammed up in there, or you've got a mixed Tamiya butanol-based paint with a water-based paint from, you know, something Vallejo, and suddenly everything's turned to snot, right? Well, when you're all jammed up, okay, this very gently goes into your tip and you rotate it, because it's not a point, I don't know if you can see, it's got a flat side on it, right? It's only a half round. So when it goes in and you rotate it, it literally very gently bores everything out. Obviously, you've got to be very careful with this because you could bugger your tip like 2 seconds if you're too ham-fisted. But these are great. There's also versions of this airbrush kit that come with larger cups. So if you need that, if you need to be, you know, basically having tons of paint, although I don't know if this thing would last that long with tons of paint, but anyhow, if you need that, then they've got, basically this comes off, okay, just like you would on the Neo. Right, on the Neo, you can unscrew your cup. Okay, well, there's other versions of this one that I'm testing today, and it comes with bigger cups or Kernit cups, or maybe even a little cup. Have a look. As I showed you at the beginning, the listings there in China on Alibaba, right, show you there's lots and lots and lots of permutations, and there's also quite a lot available on Amazon. So, in conclusion, after all the wobbling, well, it kind of does everything, but look, that's the Eclipse. The Eclipse is terrific. The Eclipse, I have so much control, so how much darker it is, and so much more, you know. I really have the control of the Eclipse, and the Eclipse blasts everything out and does everything well. This is, you know, paint flow is just better in my Eclipse. And we used exactly the same paint, and it wasn't thinned. Now, if you thinned your paint, you might be able to get better results. Obviously, the trick usually is lower your pressure, thin your paint, and then use a very, very gentle, you know, very, very gentle sort of trigger action, and you can get down to really fine lines and lots of control. I didn't do that. I basically did it like you've bought it, you want to use it, what can you get out of it? That's what I've shown. All right, so I hope that was helpful. That's the best I can for this. Let's come back in 6 months, and I'll try and use this airbrush as much as possible with this compressor, and then switch over to my Iwatas when I need to, and then I'll report back on that. That may give us more information. Certainly very hard to know everything when you just do a quick review like this. But all indications are this one, right, from Casubaris, right? Casubaris, yeah. These guys, they've made a good product, and it's very usable, and it's not expensive. Say, on special at the moment, technically for about $80 US. So that's not a lot of money. You really cannot buy a half-decent airbrush for that. You're going to get a compressor and a reasonable basic airbrush. So there you go. That's it. All right, look, if you like this video and if you like the series that I'm doing, go and watch the other ones, and hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm. And you can comment. Just be constructive. Just be polite about it, okay? And you can subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell notification. You'll see all my videos when they come out. That way you won't miss the next review of this, which will be in 6 months' time. Watch all the other videos in between. If you really like what I'm doing today, hit super thanks. Yep, that gives me instant cash payment, and that is terrific to my account, and it helps provide the funds so I can basically buy things like this, although this one was given to me. I bought all the other cordless myself. That was out of my money from subscribers through Patreon and YouTube, and any donations. So there you go. That's it. That's all I can say. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it's a long one, but I really went into some detail, and I hope that's useful to you. All right. Goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.